Alright, good morning everyone. Break 209. Here we are. Dad's in the background. He's going to get into the starters as usual. And while we wait for that, break 209, we've got the 23 Traders Hobby Titanium case. We've got the 23 Traders Titanium Priority Box and the mini starter case. 18 starter packets in that. So while we wait for him to start opening, let's go through our team list. We have Broncos, Peter Lowe, Raiders, Robert Kelly, Bulldogs, Robert Kelly, Sharks, Terry Lynch, Titans, Peter Lowe, Manly, Tammy Heppy, Storm, Jaden Williams, Knights, Robert Kelly, Cowboys, Jackson Schumi, Eels, Peter Lowe, Panthers, Ben Condon, Rabbitohs, Terry Lynch, Dragons, Robert Kelly, Roosters, Peter Lowe, Warriors, Jackson Schumi, and Tigers, Robert Kelly. Alright, I'll bring the chat back up. There we are. Good luck, everyone. Let's go.
Chris hasn't tuned in, running chance.
No, I've got nobody in yet. Club Hero Silver. Number 61. Tessa Poole for the Roosters. Oh, get in there. I think I grabbed the wrong bag. That's alright, I've got the other one there. Number 61. Yep. Club Hero Bronze for the Eels, Sean Lane, 125. Oh, maybe they weren't the wrong bag. No, they were, all good. Club Hero Silver for the Bulldogs, Jeremy Marshall King, number 73. Club Hero Bronze, number 93 for the Raiders, Joseph Tapine.
There must be like a bubble in one of the packs because they're not sitting front. The others are.
Who have we got watching? Club Hero Silver, number 26, Vanilla Pole for the Tigers. Club Hero Bronze, number 12, Shannon Mato for the Titans. Club Hero Bronze, number 65, Jojo Fafita for the Titans. Club Heroes Gold. Oh, nice one. 21, Nicholas Hines for the Sharks. Club Hero Bronze, number 10, Tyron Wisher for the Storm. Actually, I'm not sure if I quickly flashed the number or not, so there we go. Club Hero Bronze, number 38, for the Bulldogs, Jacob Perez. Club Hero Bronze, number 99, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Club Heroes Silver, number 25. Shanice Parker for the Knights. Club Heroes Gold, number 1. Otessa Poole for the Roosters. Club Hero Bronze, number 110 for the Tigers, Tanua Pole. Club Heroes Bronze, number 34, Otessa Poole for the Roosters. Pretty sure that's, yeah, all 3 of her cards. Number 18, Club Hero Silver, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Two more to go. Club Hero Silver, number 49, Tyron Wishart for the Storm. And to finish us off, Club Hero Gold, number 13, Tolator Koala for Manly. So as I mentioned in the Facebook post, we are doing this morning in an attempt to get the break cards out, sent out this afternoon as well. If you're not able to watch live, we will have the team photos up and you can always watch the replay. Olivia Higgins, Women's NRL for the Knights, Warriors Parallel Checklist. And for anyone that didn't know, if you're watching the replay, you can speed it up using the cog button. I think it's the top right hand corner if you're watching the video. Grant Anderson, Rising Stars for the Storm. Isaiah Yeo, Parallel for Panthers. Campbell Graham, Parallel for the Rabbits. Club Heroes, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Valentine Holmes, Parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Zara Canfield for the Titans. Warriors Parallel Checklist. Season to remember, Tanner Boyd for the Titans. Panthers Parallel Checklist. Grant Anderson, Rising Stars for Storm. Ryan Parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Tommy Turbo, Parallel for Manly. Destiny Brill, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Ben Hunt, Parallel for the Dragons. Billy Walters, parallel for Broncos. Driving Force, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, Joey Manu for the Roosters. Jacob Carraz, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Shania Power, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Forwards and backs, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Caitlin Johnston for the Knights. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. Katoni Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Forwards and backs, Brian To'o for Panthers. Daniel Tupou, parallel for Roosters. Women's NRL, Talia Fuimaono for the Dragons. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Warriors. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Ali Brigginshaw for the Broncos. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Zach Fulton, Rising Stars for Manly. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Ali Brigginshaw, Driving Force for the Broncos. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Season to Remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for Broncos. Driving Force, Justin Olam for the Storm. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Our Heroes, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Tigers. Selwyn Cobbo, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Bo Fulmore, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Tess Staines for the Eels. Manly, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sefo Fafita for the Titans. Jason Tormalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Jeremiah Nanai, Season to Remember for the Cowboys. Sorry about that. Rose truck going past out the front. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Retirements, Aiden Coleman for the Sharks. And Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Evania Polite for the Titans. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Our Heroes NRL Group B, which will be randomised between those 8 teams. Alex Twell, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs, and Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly, Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Isaac Liu for the Titans, and Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Shanae Siasolka for the Broncos, Toby Sexton, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Trent Peoples for the Rabbitohs. Dragons parallel checklist. Dolphins number 11. Harry Grant parallel check for the Storm. Driving Force, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Bailey Simonson, parallel for the Eels. Simonson. Driving Force, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, parallel, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Simi Sasagi for the Knights. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Brian To'o, parallel for the Panthers. Club Heroes, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Cowboys parallel checklist. Last packet out of this mini starter case. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys and Billy Walters parallel for the Broncos. Right, let's quickly grab this box and get rid of most of these. Then we get to open our case and see who the lucky winner of the case card is. Don't forget, for every break spot in break 211, guys, you get one entry into the giveaway. $100 a spot. $100 earns you an entry into the giveaway. And I'm sure with this one selling out, we'll be looking at listing another one shortly. 211's filling up pretty quick. Alright. So we have our priority box, which we'll put over there as usual. And let's find out. Hey. Alright, number 32. I don't even have my team list up. What happened here? There we go. Jaden Williams, congratulations. Storm case card. Jaden will be happy. I'm not sure how happy Ben will be at this point so far. But hopefully the Panthers pick up as they did a trade for Panthers and Storm. So Ben's probably sitting there kicking himself at this point. And Jaden will be cheering. But that's the gamble of the breaks. Alright, first box, let's go. Get set back up. What do I do with that? Go over there. There we go. Alright. Alright. Tiana Penatani, women's NRL for the Eels. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Power Heroes for the Eels. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Just like to ask everyone to hit the like button if possible. It's not hard, as most of you know, and it's not for money or anything like that. It's just to share our name around a bit more. Lindsay Collins, Rising Stars for the Panthers. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. We're obviously nowhere near big enough for YouTube to even think about giving us money for our channel. It's not what our channel is all about. Our channel is basically just for breaks. Ali Brigginshaw, driving force for the Broncos. Warriors parallel checklist. Curtis Morin, Rising Stars for Bulldogs. Alex Twile, parallel for the Tigers. For anyone that's not on Facebook, we have started posting a lot more to our page on Facebook, and you don't need a Facebook account to see that information, so you can see what's going on and new stuff we've updated. Forwards and backs, parallel, Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Billy Walters, parallel for the Broncos. So basically, if you search Gold Coast Trading Cards Facebook in Google or whatever, our page should come up and you should be able to view all that. Jaden Hunt, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Bulldogs parallel checklist. And if you are on Facebook, make sure you join the group. Plenty going on in there. Jeremiah Nanai, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Brian Todd, parallel for the Panthers. Forwards and backs, Joe Offengawi for the Tigers. Cowboys parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Paige McGregor for the Dragons. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Julia Robinson, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Okay, Dykes. Scratch down the middle of that card. Rising Stars for the Sharks. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Kimura Brealey Natty for the Titans. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Driving Force, Stephanie Hancock for the Titans. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Kevin Proctor, retirements for the Titans. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. Fanua Pole, Club Heroes for the Tigers. Liam Martin, parallel for the Panthers. Women's NRL, Millie Boyle for the Knights. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Tanila Otukolo for the Warriors. Jodera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tolator Koala for Manly. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Tyron Wishart for Storm. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Forwards and backs, Reece Robson for the Cowboys. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Women's NRL, Olivia Kernick for the Roosters. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Eels. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Driving Force, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Driving force, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Driving force team for the Rabbitohs. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Cameron McInnes, parallel for Sharks. Dragons, season to remember, Zach Lomax. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Malami Kikau for the Panthers. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Titans. Predictor, number 234 for the Storm. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Gold parallel, Knights checklist, number 50. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Dolphins, number 14. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Isaiah Tuss, Rising Stars for the Rabbitohs. Anari Tawala, parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Oh. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Alright, box number 2 out of the case. Rising Stars, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Sean Lane, parallel for the Eels. Driving force, Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Justin Olam, parallel for the Storm. Forwards and backs parallel, Jason Saab for Manly. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Jackson Hastings for the Tigers. Jack Whiten parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Grant Anderson for the Storm. Murray Talagi parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Warriors. Joey Manu parallel for the Roosters. Forwards and backs, Moses Leota for Panthers. Aaron Shoup parallel for Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Moses Sulai parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Trent Peoples for the Rabbitohs. Knights parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Jackson Hastings parallel for the Tigers. Power Heroes, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Ray Fulmore parallel for the Titans. Jazz Tavega parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Emily Bass for the Broncos. Bailey Simonson parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Harry Grant parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Georgia Hale for the Titans. Adam Reynolds parallel for the Broncos. Driving Force, Dale Finucane for the Sharks. Blake Brayley parallel for the Sharks. Club Heroes, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Daniel Tupou parallel for the Roosters. Damien Cook, gold parallel for the Rabbitohs, number 3. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Corey Waddell parallel for the Bulldogs. Forwards and backs, Joey Manu for the Roosters. Dragons parallel checklist. Let's quickly tidy this one up and get it out of the way. Maybe a few too many. That's looking better. There we go. Sweet. Keep going. So we've done our mini starter case. We're almost through our second box. Racine McGregor, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Yeah, we're almost through our second box out of the case. Rising Stars, Simi Sasagi for the Knights. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Alan Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Driving force, Jared Hargraves for the Roosters. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Driving force team for the Storm. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for the Broncos. Hedrick Lee, season to remember for the Knights. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Scoring Machines, number 22. Adam Dewey for the Tigers. 22. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Driving force, Tiana Penatani for the Eels. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Sasefo Fafita for the Titans. Morgan Harper, parallel for Manly. Women's NRL, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Tigers, parallel checklist. Power Heroes, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Milwaukee, Photo Icon, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Hannah Southwell for the Knights. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. Stephen Crichton, parallel for the Panthers. 2 packets left for box number 2. Season to remember, Tanner Boyd for the Titans. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Dolphins number 5, and James Fisher-Harris, parallel for the Panthers. And that's the end of box number 2. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Drying Force, Simon Torfa for the Eels. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Driving Force team for the Eels. Well, women's NRL. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Isaac Thompson for the Rabbits. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. James Tarmo for the Tigers. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Number 56, Eels Premiership Predictor. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Cale Iro for the Sharks. Jace Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Ben Thomas for the Roosters. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Philomena Hennessy for the Eels. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Power Heroes, Bradman Best for the Knights. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Alec McDonald for the Storm. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Driving Force, Isaac Liu for the Titans. Manly, parallel checklist. Dolphins number 7. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Keezy Apps, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Jamin Salmon for the Panthers. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Forwards and backs, parallel, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Jacob Arthur for the Eels. Bo Fermor, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Autumn Stevens for the Knights. Dane Gagai parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Madison Bartlett for the Titans. Daniel Saififi parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Christian Mapalangi for the Knights. Elliot Whitehead parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Dominic Young for the Knights. Campbell Graham parallel for the Rabbits. Gold parallel, Jazz Tavega for the Warriors, number 65. Warriors parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Zach Wolford for the Raiders. Billy Walters parallel for the Broncos. Thank you. Our heroes, Jack Whiten for the Raiders. Brian To'o parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Dragons parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Taryn Aiken for the Broncos. Cowboys parallel checklist. Cleese Huss, Rising Stars for the Titans. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Titans turning into Club of Baby Brothers. Driving Force, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Club Heroes, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Toby Sexton, parallel for Titans. Driving Force, Jordan Arapana for the Raiders. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Forwards and backs, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. And Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. 2 packets left of box number 3. Samantha Bremner, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. And forwards and backs, Nick Kotrick for the Raiders, with Bailey Simonson parallel for the Eels. Alright. Let's go. Box number 4. We shouldn't need it. Power Heroes, Big Tino for the Titans. Titans parallel checklist. Selwyn Cobbo, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Yeah, I think the nickname Tino's little brother is in Tino's Little Tino. We'll call him Little Tino and Big Tino. Trent Peoples, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. David Clemmer, parallel for the Knights. Because that was the first thing I thought of when I heard that his little brother was going to start playing, that he will have a card in the next year or two, and that'll be 2 of them I'll have to try and say. And I promise you, I practice when I'm not on video, and I can normally get it after saying it a couple of times, but on live, I just, no. Evania Elite, driving force for the Titans. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Grant Anderson, Rising Stars for the Storm. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Forwards and backs, parallel, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Nicholas Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Freddie Lussick, Rising Stars for the Warriors. Joseph Suwali for the Roosters, parallel. Zach Lomax, forwards and backs for the Dragons. Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Elsie Albert, women's NRL for the Dragons. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Driving force, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Club Heroes, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Aaron Shoup, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Taylor May, season to remember for the Panthers. Reuben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Gold parallel, number 22. Jack DeBellin for the Dragons. Morgan Harper, parallel for Manly. Dolphins are number 1. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for Bulldogs. Tigers parallel checklist. Power Heroes, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Milwaukee Fotowaka, parallel for Titans. Forwards and backs, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Moses Sulai, parallel for Dragons. Jessica Surgis, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Knights parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Simi Sasagi for the Knights. Jack Whiten parallel for the Raiders. Driving Force, Justin Olam for Storm. Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force, Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Alex Johnston parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force team for the Warriors. Dallin Watine Zelezniak parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Adam Reynolds parallel for the Broncos. Selwyn Cobbo, season to remember for the Broncos. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Retirements, Aiden Tolman for the Sharks. And Murray Talagi parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Sasifa Talakai for the Sharks. Rabbitohs parallel, Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sefo Fafita for the Titans. Josh Alloway parallel for Manly. Rakea Horn, Women's NRL for the Eels. Brent Naden parallel for the Tigers. We have 6 more packets from our 4th box left. Women's NRL, Amber Hall for the Broncos. Sean Lane parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Karina Brown for the Titans. Kurt Capewell parallel for Broncos. Adam Fanua-Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Oh. Making a mess. Women's NRL, Romy Tittle for the Knights. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. Zio, parallel for Panthers. Tidy this box up and we can get it out of the way. Alright, box number 5. Let's go. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Dry Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Curtis Moran, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Jaden Hunt for the Dragons. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Forwards and backs, parallel, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Forwards and backs, Harry Grant for the Storm. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Talia Fui Maono for the Dragons. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Tyron Wishart for Storm. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Forwards and backs, Jai Arrow for the Rabbits. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Driving Force, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Ivania Polite for the Titans. Cameron McInnes, parallel for Sharks. Gold parallel, number 9. Not jersey number. Clint Gufferson for the Eels. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Isaiah Tuss, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes Group B. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Shanae Siasolka for the Broncos. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Ray Stone for the Eels. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Shania Power for the Roosters. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Eels. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Driving Force, Taryn Aiken for the Broncos. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force team for the Tigers. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Terrell May, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Sharks parallel checklist. Matt Burton, season to remember for the Bulldogs. Jared River Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Authentic initials. Jake Averillo for the Bulldogs, number 66. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL Test Stains for the Eels. And Ari Tawala, parallel for the Knights. Josh Curran, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Cade Dykes for the Sharks. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tolator Koala for Manly. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. Josh Addo-Carr, driving force for the Bulldogs. Katoni Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Club Heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. And Panthers parallel checklist. 3 packets left for box number 5. Dolphins number 11. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Olivia Higgins for the Knights. Sia Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tanila Otokolo for the Warriors. And Roosters parallel checklist. Alright guys, I need to apologise. I am going to duck off quickly to the toilet. I'll be a minute. Alright, we're back and ready to go. Get stuck straight into box number 6. And always feels better. We'll bring chat back up. There we go. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Hamoli Olakau'atu, parallel for Manly. Driving force, James Fisher-Harris for Panthers. Chad Townsend parallel for the Cowboys. Driving force team for the Sharks. Reuben Garrick parallel for Manly. Jacob Carraz, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Stefano Utukamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Retirements, George Tafua for Manly. And Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Driving force, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, KO Weeks for Manly. Storm parallel checklist. Simona Torfa, Women's NRL for the Eels. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. NRL Group A. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Raymond Faitala Mariner, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving force, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Will Penasini, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Taylor May, parallel for Panthers. Forwards and backs, parallel, Joe Offengawi for the Tigers. Chris Randall, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Quincy Dodd, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Bunty Afoa, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Tamika Upton for the Knights. Kasu Kapoa, parallel for the Tigers. Sean Russell, Rising Stars for the Eels. Dave Feeder, parallel for the Titans. Dolphins number 17. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Tolator Koala for Manly. Eels parallel checklist. Gold parallel, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Number 41. Josh King, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, Stephen Crichton for Panthers. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Jamie Chapman, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Josh Addo-Carr, parallel for Bulldogs. Austin Diaz, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. About 3/4 of the way through box number 6. Driving force, Tamika Upton for the Knights. Dominic Young, parallel for the Knights. Club Heroes, Taylor May for the Panthers. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Stephanie Hancock for the Titans. Stafford Toa, parallel for Tigers. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Sonny Luke for Panthers. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Forwards and backs, Molly Olakau'atu for Manly. Edward Cossey, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. Griffin Neem, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Nathan Cleary, parallel for the Panthers. And last packet for box number 6. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. And Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. So that puts us a little bit over halfway, guys, in the break. The mini starter case is a bit bigger than a box, and we have half a case plus our priority box left to go. So as I said, a little bit over halfway, not by much. Alright, let's go. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Driving Force Team for the Eels. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Bo Fermor for the Titans. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Manly Authentic Initials, Lachlan Croker, number 47. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Keo Weeks for Manly. And Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Alright. Kept sliding over it. Women's NRL, Vanessa Foliaki for the Eels. Sia Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Driving Force Junior Paulo for the Eels. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. Roosters, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving Force, Jason Tolmalolo for the Cowboys. And Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Forwards and backs, parallel. Harry Grant for the Storm. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Jake Clifford for the Knights. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. Jordan Rabiner parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, Ryan Madison for the Eels. Cody Walker parallel for the Rabbits. Women's NRL, Emma Tony Gatto for the Dragons. Wade Egan parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. And Katoni Staggs parallel for the Broncos. That's halfway through box number 7. Women's NRL, Caitlin Johnston for the Knights. Stafford Toa parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Sean Russell for the Eels. Brian Kelly parallel for the Titans. $16 for the Dolphins. Philip Semi parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Bulldogs. Will Panasini parallel for the Eels. Gold parallel, Toby Rudolph for the Sharks, number 21. Nick Meaney parallel for the Storm. Fletcher Baker, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. Hey buddy. No Canfield Sigs. Chad Townsend, Power Heroes for the Cowboys. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the redemptions yet. I'm curious to see what they look like as well, to be honest. Harley Brigginshaw, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Tavita Pengai Jr., parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Austin Diaz for the Tigers. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. Amoli Olakau'atu, parallel for Manly. Zara Canfield, Women's NRL for the Titans. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. How do you know you got set 62? Did they email you or? Cameron McInnes, driving force for the Sharks. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. I didn't think you'd know what number you got till you got him back. Club Heroes Racing, yeah, no signature. Club Heroes Racing McGregor for the Roosters. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Sonny Luke, Rising Stars for the Panthers. Okay, fair enough. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Jason Saab, forwards and backs for Manly. Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. Destiny Brill, women's NRL for the Roosters. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Griffin Neem for the Cowboys. Dylan Edwards, parallel for the Panthers. Isabel Kelly, driving force for the Roosters. And Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. And that's the end of box number 7. I feel like my time is deceiving me. I feel like we're doing pretty well time-wise for this one, but my time is throwing me off. Driving force, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly, Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. We'll just have to wait and see when we finish, see how we do. I'm always secretly trying to race myself. Some days are better than others. Driving force team for the Roosters. Dragons parallel checklist. Driving force Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers. Aaron Shoop, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Isaac Thompson for the Rabbits. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Cade Dykes for the Sharks. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Andrew Fafita, retirements for the Sharks. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Kale Iro, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Zach Fulton for Manly. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. And Herbie Farnworth parallel for the Broncos. Power Heroes, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. And Isaiah Yeo parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Alec McDonald for the Storm, and Ruben Cotter parallel for the Cowboys. Jamin Salmon, Rising Stars for Panthers, Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Morgan Harper, parallel for Manly. Ben Thomas, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Dominic Young, forwards and backs for the Knights. Tigers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jacob Arthur for the Eels. Milwaukee, Fotuaika, parallel for Titans. Forwards and backs, Jaden Campbell for the Titans, and Sean Lane parallel for the Eels. Halfway through box number 8. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons, and Justin Olam parallel for the Storm. Hannah Southwell, Women's NRL for the Knights. Caitlin Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Dolphins are number 10. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Christian Mapalini, Rising Stars for the Knights. Josh Papali'i, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Gold parallel, number 49, Bo Formore for the Titans. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Zach Wolford for the Raiders. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Georgia Hale, Women's NRL for the Titans. Knights parallel checklist. Zach Lomax, Power Heroes for the Dragons. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Emily Bass, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Jason Torbololo, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Cleese Huss for the Titans. Manly parallel checklist. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Sorry, just double checking. Driving Force, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Tigers. Leo Thompson, Club Heroes for the Knights. Whoa. Go four more, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Moses Sulai, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Bailey Simonson, parallel for the Eels. Selwyn Cobbo, forwards and backs for the Broncos. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. 2 packets left for box number 8. Racine McGregor, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. And last but not least for box number 8. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman and Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Basically there. Alright, box number 9. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Curtis Morin for the Bulldogs. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Adam Dewey, Driving Force for the Tigers. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Jane Hunt, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Forwards and backs, parallel. Reece Robson for the Cowboys. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Panthers, parallel checklist. Forwards and backs, Stafford Toa for the Tigers. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Emma Tony Gatto for the Dragons. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Tavita Pangai Jr., parallel for the Bulldogs. Adam Dewey, gold parallel for the Tigers, number 21. Jack DeBellin, Dragons parallel. Women's NRL, Zara Canfield for the Titans, Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Isaiah Tuss for the Rabbits. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Ali Brigginshaw for the Broncos. Keelan Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Tolator Koala for Manly. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Cade Dykes for the Sharks. Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. Driving Force, Jocelyn Keller for the Roosters. Broncos parallel checklist. Five Heroes, Sean Lane for the Eels. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Tyron Wishart for the Storm. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Forwards and backs, Kyle Felt for the Cowboys. And Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Driving Force, Emma Tony Gatto for the Dragons. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Destiny Brill, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Hay Perham for the Eels. And Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Driving Force, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights, and Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force team for the Roosters, Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Brad Schneider for the Raiders. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Few packets left for box number 9. Season to remember, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Roosters parallel checklist. David Mead, retirements for the Broncos. And Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Jaden Sewer, parallel for Dragons. Vanessa Foliaki, Women's NRL for the Eels. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. John Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Caitlin Johnston, Women's NRL for the Knights. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. 2 packets left for the box. Dolphins are number 13. And Jared Herrera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tanila Ochukolo, I think, for the Warriors. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. That's the end of box number 9. Let's go with box number 10. Women's NRL, Sarah Togatuki for the Roosters. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Griffin Neem for the Cowboys. Talon May, parallel for Panthers. Driving force, Jack DeBellin for the Dragons. Reese Robson parallel for the Cowboys. Driving force team for Manly. Hamoli Olakau'atu parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs and Stafford Toa parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm. Dylan Edwards parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Jack Whiten for the Raiders. Brian Kelly parallel for the Titans. And our second scoring machines out of the case, number 23, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Robert Kelly. Will Penasini parallel for the Eels. Kira Weeks, Rising Stars for Manly. Nick Meaney, parallel for Storm. Women's NRL, Christian Pio for the Eels. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, Nicholas Hines for the Sharks. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Davida Pengai Jr., parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. And Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Broncos parallel checklist. Driving force, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. Jack DeBellin parallel for the Dragons. Forwards and backs parallel, Brian To'o for Panthers. Bradman Best parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. Corey Horsburgh parallel for the Raiders. And halfway through box number 10. So at this point we've got 3.5 boxes left to go. Forwards and backs, Dominic Young for the Knights. Keon Kolomatangi parallel for the Rabbits. Dolphins, number 18 for the team. Big Tino parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Bobby Law for the Knights. Stefano Ukamanu parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Sean Russell for the Eels. Alexander Brimson parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Lauren Brown for the Titans. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Gold parallel, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Number 15. Storm parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Ronaldo Mulatalo parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, Patrick Kerrigan for the Broncos. Saitili Tupanua parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Amy Turner for the Broncos. Raymond Faitala Mariner, parallel for the Bulldogs. Aaron Booth, Rising Stars for the Titans. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Austin Diaz, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Driving Force, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Chris Randall, parallel for the Knights. Club Heroes, Samai Matorfa for the Eels. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Sonny Luke for Panthers. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Ruben Garrick, Manly parallel. Three packets left in box number 10. Adam Pompey, forwards and backs for the Warriors. Bunty Afoa, parallel for the Warriors. Driving Force, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Rachel Pearson for the Dragons and Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. And that finishes off box number 10. We will clean up these base cards and get stuck in to the next ones. Alright, let's go. Down to our final three boxes. Two left in the Titanium Hobby and the Priority. Selwyn Cobbo, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Parramatta Eels checklist. Parallel. Driving Force, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Josh King, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Grant Anderson for the Storm. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Adam Pompey, forwards and backs, parallel for the Warriors. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Warriors. And Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Forwards and backs, Brian To'o for the Panthers. And Adokar, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Keely Davis for the Dragons. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Trent Peoples for the Rabbitohs. And Dominic Young, parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Kira Dibb for the Knights. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys.
Peter Lyon happened to be watching.
No idea. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Gold parallel, Tom Dearden for the Cowboys, number 60. And Josh Alloway, parallel for Manly. Dolphins, number 3. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Brent Naden, parallel for the Tigers. Ryan Pappenhausen, Power Heroes for the Storm. Titans, parallel checklist. Chelsea Lenarduzzi, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Roosters. Forwards and backs, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Blake Laurie parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL, Zahara Tamara for the Roosters. David Clemmer parallel for the Knights. Alan Martin Zalesniak parallel for the Warriors. Simon Sasagi, Rising Stars for the Knights Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks, Edward Cossey parallel for the Warriors. Driving Force, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Alex Johnston parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force team for the Women's NRL Dragons. Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Kurt Cakewell parallel for the Broncos. Season to Remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Jerome Luai parallel for the Panthers. White Authentic, number 83, Blake Laurie for the Dragons, Robert Kelly. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Driving Force, Hannah Southwell for the Knights. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sefo Fafita for the Titans. Jake Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Women's NRL, Abby Church for the Eels. Asuka Poa parallel for the Tigers. Our heroes, Joey Manu for the Roosters. David Fafita parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Jerome Hughes parallel for the Storm. Driving Force, Keely Davis for the Dragons. Nicholas Hines parallel for the Sharks. Brittany Brealey, Women's NRL for the Titans. Payne Haas parallel for the Broncos. Club Heroes, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Matthew Feagai, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Alright, last box for the case, guys. Second last box of the break. Obviously with the last box being saved, the priority box. Ronald Volkman, Rising Stars for the Warriors. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Driving Force, Clinton Gutherson for the Eels. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving Force, Chelsea Lenarduzzi for the Broncos. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Driving Force team for the Panthers. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Isaac Thompson for the Rabbitohs. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. And our Black Authentic, number 24 for the Dragons, Blake Laurie. Now Robert Kelly. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Carol Iro for the Sharks. Warriors parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Tiana Penatani for the Eels. Billy Walters, parallel for the Broncos. Power Heroes, Regan Campbell-Gillard for the Eels. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Alec McDonald for the Storm. Cowboys parallel checklist. Driving Force, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jamin Salmon for Panthers. Latrell Mitchell parallel for the Rabbits. Ben Thomas, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Jesse Ramian parallel for the Sharks. Forwards and backs parallel, Ryan Madison for the Eels. Alex Twal parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Jacob Arthur for the Eels. Toby Sexton parallel for the Titans. Forwards and backs, David Fafita for the Titans. Clint Gutherson parallel for the Eels. Nellie Boyle, Women's NRL for the Knights. Anari Tawala parallel for the Knights. Dolphins are number 9. Josh Papali parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Christian Mapalangi for the Knights. Joseph Tapine parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Storm. Jai Arrow parallel for the Rabbits. Gold parallel, Jerome Luai for the Panthers, number 13. Josh Curran parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Zach Wolford for the Raiders. Thomas Flegler parallel for the Broncos. Tamora Brealey Natty, Women's NRL for the Titans. Kalen Ponga parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Liam Martin parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Julia Robinson for the Broncos. Jeremiah Nanai parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Cleese Huss for the Titans. Lachlan Croker parallel for Manly. Retirements, Ryan James for the Broncos. Ben Hunt parallel for the Dragons. Latrell Mitchell, driving force for the Rabbits. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Club Heroes, Tyron Wishart for the Storm. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Fifth last packet of the case. Rising Stars, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. And Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Forwards and backs, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Xavier Coates, parallel for the Storm. Olivia Koenig, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Sharks. Alright, last but not least, let's see, here we go. Women's NRL, Paige McGregor for the Dragons. And Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Alright. So, all we have left is our priority box. Let's go. Driving force, Kurt Capewell for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Trent Peoples for the Rabbits. And Cody Ramsey parallel for the Dragons. Clint Gufson, season to remember for the Eels. Dominic Young, parallel for the Knights. Driving force, Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Joseph Suwali parallel for the Roosters. Forwards and backs, Max King for the Bulldogs. And Max King parallel for the Bulldogs. Jessica Surgis, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Simi Sasagi, Rising Stars for the Knights. David Clemmer, parallel for the Knights. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Karina Brown, Women's NRL for the Titans. Edward Cossey, parallel for the Warriors. Number 14, Dolphins. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. Not one priority hit yet, guys. Rising Stars, Grant Anderson for the Storm. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Warriors. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Forwards and backs, Jack DeBellin for the Dragons. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Romy Titzel for the Knights. Dalmatine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Women's NRL, Rakea Horn for the Eels. Jake Jabovich, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Josh Papali for the Raiders. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Gold parallel, Mr. Ben Hunt for the Dragons, 66. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Josh Alloway, parallel for Manly. Power Heroes, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Brent Naden, parallel for the Tigers. Women's NRL, Amber Hall for the Broncos. Titans parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Tavita Pengai Jr. for the Bulldogs. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Our first priority hit, Club Hero number 1. Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Peter Lowe. Nico Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Elsie Albert for the Dragons. Josh Adokar, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Big Tino for the Titans. Asuka Power, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Driving force, Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Eels parallel checklist. Our second priority hit, number 3. Selwyn Cobbo, forwards and backs parallel. Josh King, parallel for the Storm. Got 5 packets left, and that is the end. And our third priority hit. This team doing quite well in the end. Number 33, a driving force team, Women's NRL Roosters. We have Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Cameron Munster for the Storm. Kurt Catewell, parallel for the Broncos. Ryan James, retirement for the Broncos. And Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Last packet. Dare I say last but not least? No, I shouldn't. So Sefo Fafita, Rising Stars for the Titans, and Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys to finish us off. Alright guys, well, we have 3 Power Hero group cards, 1 Group A and 2 Group Bs. And then we have number 14, number 9, number 3, 18, 13, 10, 16, 17, 11, 1, 7, 5, 14, and 11. They are our Dolphins cards. They get randomised as 1 lot between all 16 spots. So let's get that done now, guys. I'm already set up for the Dolphins. Try and fix that tray camera a bit more next time. I played with it before we started. Oh. That's alright, there we are. Let's do the Dolphins cards first because it's all loaded in and ready to go. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Here we go. Jackson Schumi with the Warriors spot taking home the Dolphins cards. Congratulations, mate. Alright, let's do our 2 Group Bs because they come out first. So let's reset, paste, delete. Alright, number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Peter Lowe with the Roosters, scoring another one. Set that one back up. There. Alright, 3 more times for our second Group B. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Peter Lowe with the Eels. Alright, Group A. Last one to finish us off for today. let's go number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Tammy Happy with Manly. Congratulations. Alright guys, that's it. That's